Hello, all. It's time for the Friday Night Strike. We're running a little late here. Sorry, guys. Been busy working on GunTube and whatnot. Yeah. What's going on tonight? I got a couple links out because we're going to be talking about some things that happened, this last week, and I got to get a couple emails sent out so they can jump in. All right. Let's see. Gary. And what's there? That's about all. All right. All right, links are out. Hello, Guitar Man Pete. Hello, Bass Boy 99091. Rich White is out there. So let's see if Gizzard and Obnoxious One show up. We'll wait a little while, see if they can make it. Until then, I will send a link out to somebody else. Go. See if he wants to jump in, because I know he's always available. Watch, he's going to jump in and tell me I'm not always available. Never ends. Gizzard, what's going on?
What's up, man? Thanks for the invite.
No problem. Thank you for jumping in. Bassboy 99091. You went through the GunTube link to order a pistol kit. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. GunTube appreciates it. John Brown Productions is out there. Hey, Night Strike. Hey, John Brown. How you doing? I didn't mean to interrupt you, Gizzard. It's just, got to talk to the people.
You ain't interrupting me. I'm on your show.
Oh, that's right. That's right. There we go. The Mad Sexy Man of the Night says it's not even late yet at Night Strike. Well, it's evening, so that I'm going to consider that the Friday Night Strike.
In your part of the world, it is.
Yeah, it's dark out now. So
it's 5:18 where I live. It's dark there?
No, not yet, but getting there.
I'm going to say it's still bright and sunny here. I just came from the backyard.
Yeah, so.
Feeding the dogs.
Hopefully Obnoxious One will jump in. Because him, I wanted to talk to you and him and get his perspective of his first time going to Wanamaker and what booths or tables that he thought were the most interesting. And since you go quite often now, well, more often than me at least, because you live closer to it, I wanted to get your perspective as someone who's been going, which tables or stalls, stood out this year. Okay?
Me, yeah. It's only basically what it would be across the state for you, even.
Yeah. Well, hell, if it was in like Tennessee, I could deal. I really could deal. But it wasn't. So.
And they have gun shows there, just not of this stature.
No. But you remember, compared to the population in South Carolina, the population in that area is much larger.
Well, the thing is, Tulsa isn't exactly what I would call a huge metropolitan area in comparison to a lot of the country, and the state it's fairly sparsely populated, but people are coming from all over the country to get to that place.
Remember, it's literally in the middle of the country.
Pretty much.
Quite literally. I mean, yes, it's a little south of the middle, but it's pretty much middle.
I mean, that works out well for the gun populace, though, really, because a lot of them come up from Texas and stuff like that.
Okay, so, Oregon's got 3.9 million, not Oregon, but Oklahoma has 3.9 million people. I don't know why I said Oregon. I'm just not thinking right now.
The fact of the matter is most cities in Kansas don't have anywhere near the hotel space.
Okay, so South Carolina has more people. We got 5 million people in South Carolina. But, regardless, in that area, the state is so close to Texas and a few other states that have more population than South Carolina.
And how many places have an expo hall that big?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a place in South Carolina that has an expo hall that big.
There's not a place in the state of Kansas that does. Not even.
Because that's huge. So, Obnoxious, thanks for jumping in.
Yo.
Yeah. So tonight, what I want to talk about is your experience going to Wanamaker for the first time and what tables and stalls stood out to you the most, your first time being there. And, then we're going to contrast that with Gary, who's been going to Wanamaker for a while, and then getting his perspective and what booths and stalls that stood out to him, as a, continuing participant. Okay?
Okay.
So when you guys, have your notes together, when you're ready, just let me know. We'll just, say hi to Rich for jumping in. Hey, Rich.
Hello.
Thanks for jumping in. Who else? And let's see who else we got out there on the YouTube side. We got Rupan, who's jumping in. We got Rob D, NY Outcast. Hey, Rob D, what's going on? So, all right, guys. You know anybody else we should add to the call? Add to the show tonight, or you think this is about all that's going to show up?
I don't know if Gun Snob's free or not. He'd be a good one.
Gun Snob's been going forever, though.
Right. He's a local.
He's a local, though. And unfortunately, sometimes when you see it all the time, it doesn't seem special to you. But if you don't live there, it seems a bit more special.
Especially for a first-timer. I still remember my first time at that place, and I was just completely overwhelmed by the sheer size of it all.
Right? I wasn't overwhelmed by the size so much as I was overwhelmed by how big that building was. Well, I guess that is the size. But just that building itself, I wasn't expecting it to be that large.
And the crowd, I mean, you're talking easily 10, 20,000 people at times.
Yeah. If we didn't have those passes that one time, it would have been hard to get into that place because the lines were long all day long. There were lines to get in and out of the building.
Not to mention the bathrooms.
Oh, don't even get me started. I only used the bathrooms once there.
But, gosh, I'm not going to speak for Obnoxious here. For me, the biggest crowds around the booth seem to always be the AR booths. AR and the AK stuff.
Yeah.
That seemed to always draw a big crowd. Oh.
Yeah, but that's normal because everybody wants an AR and AK these days because there's always the chance of the liberals getting their way and banning it.
But as far as the crowd all being concentrated in one spot, I really didn't see that much. Everybody was so spread out in that place, and all the tables, at least Saturday morning, all the tables were just thick with people. The T-shirt booths were just selling left and right. The holsters, the leather belts and stuff, everything was flying off the shelves.
So, Gary, we'll go with you first since you've been going there for a while. Out of the booths that were there, which name one or two of them at least. Which one stood out the most this year?
Oh, well, of course, I didn't do a whole lot of gun shopping.
Right.
So I didn't spend a lot of time at those booths. Let's see, Quick Draw shirts always had a ton of people because they do some innovative T-shirt designs. People love to have a souvenir shirt to leave with. Strangely enough, and the booth right in front of us, it had the Tech Girls. That's always a good draw.
G-Webs is going to be sad that he missed that one.
I never saw anybody standing there in front of him.
You weren't looking at him.
You weren't looking in front of him. You were looking in the behind.
We were in behind the booth, so we couldn't see the people in front. Besides, why look at them? I mean, I think that's kind of his point. Fort Scott always had a ton of people. They are getting bigger and bigger every year. The first year I saw them there, they just had a small booth, and now they are big time. Fort Scott Ammunition.
They can't be too big time. They gave me an interview.
Hey,
they're always up to talk to people.
They got their own Tumblr. Come on.
They're always up to talk to people because, guys, it's free publicity regardless.
I had to wait for Steven to finish his milk duds. I walked up there and asked him if he'd do an interview, and he's got a mouthful of milk duds.
And you know what they say about publicity. Any publicity is good publicity, whether it's good or bad.
Sadly, the NRA booth seemed to have quite a few people in front of it too.
I did not even see the NRA booth.
Really?
Really? I did not see everything.
It was right at the edge where you went down to the lower level. It was right next to the ramp on the far side.
I'm trying to think what was. I don't know. I didn't notice them.
So
over there
on the same row as that guy with the copper coins and the cannons who wouldn't let anybody film his stuff.
Yeah, I know where you're talking about. It just didn't see him. Didn't notice him.
When you went down to the lower level, it was noticeably more quiet and less people down there. Everybody seemed to concentrate on the upper level. That's where all the action was.
Was that because the lower level was... Did they segregate it this year where they had the businesses on one level and the private parties on the other?
No, because
it's kind of mixed up as it normally was.
They had businesses down there, but I think downstairs was more collectors than upstairs was. I mean, downstairs was probably 90% collectors.
I'm guessing that's lower rent down there on that end.
Probably. Well, I heard it was like $100 a table or something.
$100 a table. Yep.
Now, is that for both days, or do you have to pay per day?
That's a day.
That's a day. So it'd be $200 for the whole show.
Yeah, I talked to the guy at Texas Best Beef Jerky, and he said, yeah, it's $100 a table. And he said, and I was in here setting up on Friday, and they wanted to charge me $100 for Friday. He said, I'm not even selling on Friday.
And they weren't even open on Friday, were they?
They were open for like the collectors and the dealers and stuff. I think.
Yeah, the vendors could buy from each other and stuff like that, but the public couldn't get in on Friday.
Yeah.
But there were quite a few people there. I'm told that's where all the big time money sales go on, is the day before the show starts.
Oh, I'm sure the people with
buy
the money
from each other. Yeah,
they get in. The people with the money get in there, and they got a little easier time getting around and can make the deals.
But did they have a Gatling gun there again this year, Gisser?
I didn't see it, but I think somebody said they saw one.
Because last April, Obnoxious One, there was a guy selling a Gatling gun, and it's a full size. I don't know if it was original or reproduction, but it was a full size Gatling gun.
I saw Travis helping him load it up.
Yeah,
I saw that Instagram post,
yeah.
But I didn't see it, but there was probably one there because there was everything there.
We had a robbery.
Oh, really?
Outside.
Had a shooting, a robbery.
Yeah, shooting was on Friday. A negligent discharge.
There's always one of those.
When was the robbery? That was on Sunday, wasn't it?
That was Sunday at the end, yeah.
Yeah, guy was loading up this truck. He'd taken one load out there and was coming in to get the rest of it. Somebody cleaned out his truck.
Yep.
$20,000 worth of guns, I think they said.
I heard two different things. I heard that somebody broke the window, but Snob was saying he left his truck unlocked. So
because he took the personal gun out of his console.
You know, all I'm gonna say is there's a special place in hell for someone who takes even the gun in the console.
No.
I mean, if you're gonna jack his store his goods, okay, that's fine. Jack all the stuff he's selling, but don't take his self protection away from him.
John Brown Productions wants to know how many tables. Well, they estimated, I think, 4,000.
They had 4,200 to 4,500 is what they'd said.
Yeah. If you put all the tables end to end, it would stretch 5.6 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of tables.
All right, so obnoxious one. This is your first year going to Wanamaker. You really only had what you've heard of it before to go on. Did it live up to your expectations, or was it a little bit, unexpected?
I was not prepared.
Okay. And what about it? What were you prepared?
In a good or a bad way?
I said on I think Snob's video that everybody tells you how big it is and how many tables there are and how many guns there are and how much is there. And until you've walked in those doors and seen it all laid out before you, and you spent a day trying to walk the thing, you have no idea. You have no idea. I could sit here and tell you how big it is. I could tell you how many tables there are. We can throw out all the stats to you, but until you've walked in there and seen it all laid out in front of you like a big, glorious, delicious buffet, you have no idea.
Now, did you check out Roland's table?
The P226?
P226.
I did not. I didn't know he had a table.
He has a table there. He has a table there every year where he's selling. What he does is he picks up knickknacks here and there. Assorted firearms. Accessories and whatnot. Sometimes he sells firearms too, but he picks that up and he always has a table there every year, and he sells stuff usually with his either his dad or his uncle.
Nope, I did not know he had a table there.
Yeah, all right. Well, maybe next time because he lives in Tulsa.
Yeah, that's what we went out to. He came with us to dinner. I think was he there Saturday night? I believe he was.
Yeah, I think so.
And then Sunday when we went for the Monte Cristos, he was there. So I talked to him a little bit, but I didn't know he had a table at the show. Otherwise, I would have definitely gone over there.
Yeah,
to check it out.
Okay, obnoxious one. So, it being your first time there, what tables or stalls jumped out the most to you? You don't have to name all of them, but just like one or two of the most memorable.
The most memorable. There was one guy there that had, I think, about half of the Colt snake guns that were ever made. So that one kind of jumped out to me.
He's there every year. He's there every year.
Matter of fact, Snob and I were talking about it, about how all the snake guns in the world were probably at the show, and we were sitting there talking at the table. And just as we finished up talking about it, Clover comes over and asks us if we'd seen any snake guns around. And we're like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I'm serious. I'm not. We're like, we were just talking about that. So I directed him over to that guy because he was fairly close to the table. And I told him he's got 3 or 4 cases of them over there in the stainless or the nickel or whichever they are. And so Clover went over there, I think, and talked to him. And then later I happened to be going by there, and I went over there to take another look at him because, like I said, he had 3 or 4 of those cases the glass cases that they put on top of the tables,
Right.
that were just full of the nickel or stainless. And then I realized that he had about 3 or 4 of those same cases that were blued snake guns.
Yeah. He had the stainless steel, and then they had the blued ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't see that.
No, I didn't see the blued ones at first. I thought he had a pretty impressive collection with all the stainless ones, and then I saw that he had just as big a collection sitting there of blued snake guns.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Was there anybody with the collection of the Smith & Wesson guns, or just the guy with the Colts?
Oh, I'm sure there was.
I'm pretty sure I saw at least one.
Yeah, there was. I mean, Sarge saw the guy that had, and I went back and looked at my video that I took of that guy with all the AMT auto mags, and he said he had 200 there at the show, and he still had more back of the thing. We were saying last night that he'd said like 50 or 60. He says in the video that he's got 200 there with him.
Yeah, I saw that video. That's insane.
And Fine Ape had brought up, because Sarge was talking to him about it. Oh, I think Saturday night when we were all sitting around. Not only does he have that many of them, but he's got them from like every manufacturer. He's got all the different roll marks, from everybody that made them. So that was, and I'd never heard of auto mags until then, but knowing that they're out there, I mean, this guy had a ton.
Yeah.
And they came in various different calibers too.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
Oh yeah, he had all of them. He had every single one of them.
Okay, so what else stood out? Something maybe that you weren't expecting to be there, but you saw there.
I did an interview with Cool Fire Trainer.
Okay.
And that's going up next week, and that, I guess, came out of the paintball. And it's actually like a barrel insert to go into your semi-auto. Yeah,
that's neat.
It's a barrel insert that goes into your semi-auto, and they have a follower that goes in your mag, and you charge it with CO2, and then it simulates firing around and the recoil and everything. So that was really cool. So it gives you the option to actually do some decent dry fire training with your semi-auto.
Well, Patriot in the Dark is saying, geez, all I hear is blah, 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 Tulsa, blah, blah.
No, he said Tulsa.
Tulsa. I've never heard of Tulsa before, but
living on Tulsa time. Yeah,
living on Tulsa time.
Living on Tulsa time. All right, Gizzard. Okay, same question. What stall or table did you see there that you weren't expecting to see there this year?
Well, let's see. Other than the NRA, let's see. I was coming back from doing a video with Stan from S&S Pawn, Travis's buddy, and I walked by this engraving booth where they had this engraving machine. This guy was doing this engraving. This thing would rotate this plate back and forth, and he had a big old TV screen you could watch. And the gal, I struck up a conversation with her, asking her if she wanted to do an interview, and she was real receptive. So I asked where she's from, and she said Emporia, Kansas. I said, oh, well, you basically 35 miles from me. So, yeah, there was people right from my area, the state of Kansas, that were just literally 50 feet from our table. So I thought that was pretty neat.
All right. Cool. All right, we're gonna move on from Wanamaker to J.M. Davis. Okay. And Gizzard, I was there with you last year in April at the J.M. Davis. We got that awesome tour. I don't know if you got the tour again this year.
I got it last fall. No, not this year. We did not get a tour, but I took it a second time last fall.
Okay. Were there any changes? Anything that stood out this visit?
They moved the World War II exhibit out to other places. and expanded the World War I exhibit. I can only guess because the 100th anniversary of World War I or whatever, but that whole corner that used to be mostly, you know, divided up between the wars is pretty much all dedicated to World War I right now. So a lot more World War I stuff, which was cool.
Yeah, because last year November was the first year anniversary of World War II, World War I ending. So,
other than that, I don't think they changed it a whole heck of a lot. I did not do any filming in J.M. Davis this year because I've got enough footage. I could put together a couple, 3 videos out of that. I wanted to go just as a visitor this time because everybody else, we had a lot of new people in there, like Sarge and Obnoxious, who'd never been before, and of course they got to do their filming. And so I pretty much tried to stay out of their way or help them whenever they needed help. But and there weren't that many of us at J.M. Davis, I don't think. Were there? Obnoxious, maybe 7 or 8 of us.
Yeah, I think we had maybe. Well, we had more than that because we had Grim and his 2 brothers.
Grim always brings his brothers with him.
Yep, we had Fine Ape. We had me and Sarge. We had you.
Foose.
Foose was there. Sarge was there.
Yeah, Clover wasn't there yet. It was definitely B team, but yeah, we did a good job.
I hear Foose is doing moderately all right with the ammo now, so it's good to hear.
He got rid of everything he brought. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he brought 8,000 rounds, and I know Sarge and I each picked up 1,000.
I picked up 1,000.
I mean, you're going to use it anyways, regardless. It doesn't matter where you get it from.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where I get it from. I might as well get it from.
Well, that's incentive for me to get to the range and practice, the way I look at it. Made me have to buy another couple ammo cans. Whatever.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's horrible to have to buy ammo cans.
Oh, yeah. You know, I feel your pain.
I got a good deal on those, too. I went down to my local shop here, and they had them $5 a piece. So.
Ooh. Nice. All right. Obnoxious one. What stood out with you at J.M. Davis? It's your first time going. What were you most surprised by at J.M. Davis?
The 8-foot gun that they had in the Chinese walls, I think it was. They had it in one of the cases, and it was 8 feet long. It was huge. And then they also, in that same case, they had one that was, it was kind of, they thought it was like some kind of occult gun because it was all angular. It didn't have any rounded edges. Even the bore was square on it. So that one was kind of neat. That it had like symbols on it and everything. So those were the 2 that were kind of neat. There's a couple of, there's everything in there. I mean, anyway, there was even like 3 or 4 high points in there because they'd come from the Tulsa Police Department. I would imagine they got confiscated or something.
They got confiscated instead of destroying them. They donated them to the museum.
Yeah, Jason Stewart's asking what was the top dog jewel of the collection at J.M. Davis, but I think that's all. That all depends on what you like. I mean, if there's something you like, I'll guarantee you there's probably one in there.
Okay, well, from your perspective, Gary, what was the jewel of the collection for you?
Oh, well, let's see. I kind of like weird things. There was this 8-foot long gun in there that I thought was just cooler. Now, you remember that, Obnoxious?
I think that was the one he was talking about.
Yeah, that was the one I just talked about.
Yeah. That thing was cool. Just kept looking at that like, wow, how do you shoot that? And right next to it, yeah, there were those inlaid guns and stuff like that were just the most beautiful things you ever saw. That I'd like that better than anything else.
We got the Sun Snob out there.
Did not go to Whataburger. No, we didn't go to Whataburger this year.
Okay.
We did too many other cool things. We
Okay.
ate well.
Obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
You okay? I'm going to ask you the same question. For you, what was the jewel of the collection aside from the 8-foot gun? Or would you say the 8-foot gun was also the jewel of the collection too?
I don't know if it's the jewel of the collection. But
Because they know they have Gatling guns there, they have cannons there too.
Yeah, we have Gatling guns and cannons.
They got a tank out front.
A tank out front. I mean, honestly, for me, the jewel of the collection would have been, stuff that I'd like to have and like to shoot. I mean, they had a 3rd Gen Smith, the 10 millimeter, the 1006. They had one of those sitting there. I tried to get Snob to break the glass and get it for him, but he didn't.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't do that.
I remember that one. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was nice.
Yeah, they had and they had a couple other. They had a couple other, that were newer. I mean, but then they had all the old stuff. And they had all the old lever guns, and I mean,
so
if I'd been there before and I could narrow it down a little bit, but I mean, I was just kind of there the first time and taking it all in. That's another place that, I could tell you how many guns are sitting there. I could tell you that all day long, but until you're there and see it, it's just not going to compute.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen guns in museums. Okay, I've been to the Smithsonian before. When they actually did show firearms, they've never shown, at least as long as I've been alive, they've never shown as many firearms as I saw at J.M. Davis. So I've never seen as that many firearms on display in a museum. And I was just blown away when the first time I went in there. I'm like, oh my God, they've got these perfectly on display. It's like Candyland for guns. But in a museum.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really awesome to see all those great guns.
Now, the biggest thing that surprised me and that was a little disappointing is they didn't have the museum quality glass. They just had regular glass in there. So you got all kinds of glare, and then they got the lighting and everything. And I mean, I understand they're working on a limited budget, but
they were working on limited budget, yeah. And I heard they had to sell some of their collection off for the museum this year. You heard about that, right?
Yeah, they sold like duplicates and stuff, I think. So
yeah.
I mean, which is, it's sad that they've got to sell them, but it's a good thing because they're getting them, they're getting out into the hands of private collectors who are going to enjoy them.
Yeah, and as long as the collectors enjoy them, they don't have. I won't completely say that they have to use them and actually fire them, but as long as they enjoy the pieces and keep the pieces nice, then that's okay. And I know, Night Strike, what are you saying? Not use a gun? Well, sometimes when a gun is so old, there comes a point where with the black powder stuff that the metal starts to crystallize, and if you fire it, it could shatter. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've done extensive research on this, and that's what happens to like older black powder guns. So you don't want to shoot those. But more modern stuff, you'll probably be fine. But again, remember, these are museum collection pieces. You really don't want to shoot them all. You'd rather put them in a case or something and display them at home, or keep them in a good safe.
I think it's just amazing that they've got stuff, that like existed when Lewis and Clark were here and stuff like that.
Oh, so you saw the air gun they used?
It's just, I like old stuff like that. I mean, some of it may not be in the best shape. Obviously, if you got a 200 or 300-year-old gun, it may or may not be in pristine condition anymore. But just to see what people used back then and stuff like that.
Did you get the chance to see the Ghirardelli air rifle that Lewis and Clark used?
I don't remember it. Let's put it that way. I'm not saying I didn't see it.
Well, It was one of the first guns that was not a powder gun, and they made it. It was made back in like the late 1700s. And Obnoxious One, I see what you were looking at.
Yeah, that was the other one that I wanted. It's a Model 639.
Yeah.
Walnut stocks. Yeah, that was pretty. That and that 1006 were the two that were the crown jewels to me. That they were something that I could have and I could take out and shoot. They're not something that's going to go and sit in the safe and
rot away
rot away.
But yeah. Are you looking for those now?
Maybe not so much the 1006 because that's anything I've seen on those. They're well over $1,000 for those. But yeah, this is just some of the footage I took. This is right in the Smith and Wesson section, and just row after row after cabinet of Smith and Wesson.
I've seen Smith & Wesson 1006s for like $1,100, $1,200.
Yeah.
$950 in some areas.
Yep. But yeah, you got all the,
Look at all those
Walthers. And I took like an hour and a half worth of video just doing like this. Just, going up and down the rows and going back and forth over them. And
yeah, I tried to do that last year, but because I didn't have a gimbal with me, the video turned out awful, so I couldn't even use any of it.
There's a gizzard. We've been chickened.
You've been chickened.
Getting in my video.
There's a sword.
Just stuff like this. I didn't even cover all the other stuff that was in there. I just went and looked at all the guns, but like they had all kinds of other stuff that he collected in there. Let's see, is this? Yeah, that's that 8-foot gun, and see what I mean?
Yeah. That's
it's hard to tell with everything. And this one. This one over here is that one with the square bore and all the angle, that was all angular and everything. That's this one here. This was an alarm gun, and it actually went on.
The one that hooked to the door jam?
That hooked to the door jam, yeah. So when you open the door, you get shot.
Yeah, I don't want that.
J.M. Davis and his wife in their resting place.
Yep. For those that don't know, at the J.M. Davis Firearms Museum, J.M. Davis himself and his wife are interned in a mausoleum there.
So yes, when you go to the J.M. Davis Museum, you can literally see.
You can pay your respects.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask that when you go there, you pay your respects and you be respectful, because he donated that entire collection to the state and only asked that they turn it into a museum. And if he hadn't done that, all these firearms would have either been given off to the nearest living relative, or they would have been sold off. And
if you wanted
that wouldn't have helped anyone, because with a collection like this, it deserves to be displayed, more so than anything.
Yeah,
because some of these guns aren't on the registry and would have to be destroyed, because some of them are machine guns.
Yep.
And if they're not in a museum, they have to destroy them.
Any variation of Mauser you could possibly think of was there. And then they've got this is like the Nazi daggers and stuff, and then there's the U.S. bayonets.
Yeah.
You know, some 1903s, shotguns. I mean, just German Mausers. And that's the thing. Like I said, I got an hour and a half worth of video just going back and forth and looking at stuff.
And that ain't half the collection.
Oh
No,
go back a minute or so. Okay, where you had the high powers with the stocks on them. Right there. Those are the Browning high powers with the stocks.
Oh, yeah, I saw those.
At one point, what they did was, I don't know if it was the Germans or if it was FN or at German-controlled FN, but they had stocks for the Browning high powers, just like they did for the Lugers and the C96s. So, and the end of that, the wood stock opens up, and you can put the gun in.
And you put the gun in it?
As a case, yes.
As a case.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing for the C96 and some Luger variants as well.
Yeah, the stock is actually the holster.
Yep, wooden holster that can be used as a shoulder stock.
Yeah. This museum, this is the J.M. Davis Firearms Museum in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Claremore.
It's specifically in the Claremore area of Tulsa, so check that out if you're in the area. But
I have a question for Gary and Obnoxious.
Go for it.
Going back to the gun show itself, what was the most interesting thing you saw at the show that wasn't firearms or beef jerky related?
That's pretty hard because both Gary and Obnoxious One are well-rounded individuals.
Well, I heard there were tactical girls around there. I'm not real sure where their table was.
Right.
Most interesting thing.
That wasn't firearms or beef jerky related.
Ooh, there's an Uzi.
Mm-hmm. That's right outside his resting place.
Yeah. Is the Gatling gun still near his grave? Right there?
Yeah, right there.
There it is. That Gatling gun was awesome.
Cannon back there.
Yeah.
I don't know the most interesting thing that wasn't firearms related because
you weren't looking.
There was a guy selling a bunch of like mahogany.
Oh yeah,
models.
That was new. Yeah,
that was kind of interesting. I almost bought a motorcycle one that he had, but I didn't.
Oh, okay.
He had these beautiful like planes and helicopters and stuff. Clover did a video on it, and just to see them in person, they were just beautiful.
Oh, stop! Go back a couple seconds.
It's gonna catch up.
Right there. Right there. As I was talking about the high power, that's a Mauser C96. Same thing. You got a stock holster. Right there. That's what I was referring it to. So anyone that's interested.
This is where it would have been really nice to be able to go live while we were there so that I could do this, with people watching. But unfortunately, YouTube decided the exact perfect time to
yeah, this is the day we found out about it. Was the day we were here.
Yep. I think maybe we found out like somebody had.
We found out at Hugo's, wasn't it?
We found out
at Hugo's, didn't we?
No, Snob Snob ran Sarge's show since we were on the road, and we found out at the very end of the show somebody came on and said that they'd done that. So we found out at like 11 or 12 o'clock Thursday night. So we already knew, I think.
Yeah, that's the one gun the Mauser C96. That's the one firearm I really want I want a red 9 just because the factor it's in a caliber you can actually find. Oh wait, stop right there. That's the 93. That one with the weird oval shaped end.
We'll go with it.
Go again.
That one, like right in the center there.
That one. Yeah, that's the C93. I think. Or is it the 93? I think it's the Bergman.
Yeah. Burkhart. Looks like it says Burkhart on there.
It's not the Bergman, it's the Burchard.
Burchard. Okay. But yeah, that was like I said, hour and a half of video just going back and forth like this and catching something cool and getting in a little closer. And
as that was the Borchardt C93, and that was like basically they made that before the C96.
All the Derringers, there's G's. This is Tiny Guns. This would be G's favorite section.
Yeah, and they had even tinier than that. They had some that were not even half the size of those.
Oh yeah, and they had that 8-foot gun, and then they had a little Calibri.
Because we kept looking for tiny guns, and then we'd find even tinier ones, and then even tinier ones. I think the smallest one I saw was like a little over 2 inches long. It was like, how's that even a gun?
Oh, we got our assault pistols.
Oh yeah. Man, I love me a Leffe 20-round revolver because why the hell not? Right there. Those is what we're talking about. That's the Leffe 20-round revolver because why the hell not? Believe it or not, those were actually pretty reliable.
Oh yeah, got assault revolvers.
Scary as hell.
Scary as hell because it's pinfire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't get a hang fire with one of those things.
I don't think you would.
Yeah, you could. Pinfire could still get a hang fire. Could get
Well, yeah, they could, but there's less of a chance. Oh, look at those!
Oh, you know what was in there that I forgot? It was the something knuckle duster. It might be in.
The knuckle duster. Yeah,
it was brass knuckles with a dagger on them and a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like, you brought a gun to a knife fight? Well, I brought brass knuckles, a gun, and a knife.
Do you have any video of the blacksmithing part location in the museum, or did they take that out?
I think they might have taken that out because I didn't see it.
Midnight wants you to go back to the Han Solo gun.
The broom handle?
C96. Yeah. The broom handle. You went a little too far.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Now we're gonna get struck on YouTube because you showed a Nazi flag. So, thanks.
It's just not his channel.
Right?
Not my channel. Not my channel.
I'm
gonna have to bail here pretty soon because the wife just got home with dinner, I think. So.
But that's the broom handle, the Mauser C96, which it's the Mauser C1896 or whatever. But regardless, that was your Midnight Range TM. That was the precursor to that was the basis for the Han Solo gun. But again, they modified a replica C96 that they were using for a prop and added and taped and welded stuff onto it.
Yep.
Okay. They added stuff on that didn't even do anything other than aesthetic for the C9 for the Han Solo gun. But you are right that they did use the basis, the C96 prop gun for the Han Solo gun. But again, there are two different things. One's a prop, one's an actual real firearm that you can use.
Yeah, and I didn't go into the prop section of the museum, so I would imagine that would be in there.
Actually, Midnight Range TM, the Germans had it first. World War I.
No,
How do you know Han Solo wasn't German? Maybe he was.
Maybe he was.
Long ago in a galaxy far, far away, I think Star Wars was supposed to happen before World War One.
No,
Yeah,
no.
says.
Oh, God. All right. You know what? Keep going. Obnoxious One, anything else cool that you'd like to show us from J.M. Davis?
Yeah. No, there. This might be where the knuckle duster's at. This is all the.
There's the cane gun. I love that
thing. That's cool.
Are you being detained?
Probably. He was detained for 3 days.
I was detained for like 5 days because I picked him up on Thursday.
That's true. That's true.
But you also managed to detain him with a donut.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was probably the best part. I saw Sarge getting that donut, and I got my camera. I got my phone out, opened up the camera, and I'm just kind of holding it there. As soon as he took a bite, click. He turned and looked at me. Says, "Did you just take a picture of me eating a donut?" Yep. You're a dick.
Well, you have to prove that,
Yeah, there's a knuckle duster. It's right down.
Cops really eat donuts. There's the Cutlass revolver. I love that thing. That thing's awesome.
Yeah, they have a bunch of these things at the Smithsonian when I went with my daughter.
There you go.
There it is. It folds out. It folds out into a gun.
Yep, the Apache knuckle duster. But I'm gonna have to bail because the wife is calling me for dinner. So.
All right. Well, thank you for jumping in with us and showing us some parts of the J.M. Davis Firearms Museum. And for anyone that wants to see some of his produced videos, just check Obnoxious One's channel out for some of the produced content from J.M. Davis.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yep.
Yes,
and Gary, did you take any pictures or video of anything you'd like to share?
I didn't take any from J.M. Davis.
Okay. All right. Well, there's that. All right. Rich, are you looking at possibly November or next year?
But the only time we might be able to go will be next year. We're definitely not going to be able to go in November.
Well, they'll keep having them.
They'll keep having them as long as guns are legal.
I'm pretty sure. As long as Gun Channels is around, Gun Channels will cover it, I'm pretty sure. Have a whole new bunch of people to get together and meet. There's always somebody new and somebody old there.
Yeah, I got to figure out how
the oldest person there.
I got to figure out how to tell A&A I'm not going to be going to the Creator Summit they're doing.
Cycle Camp has been at every one I've been to, so. You want to know somebody who knows everything about guns, he can pretty much tell you.
Did you see the video he did on the Grenadier rifle he picked up?
Yeah.
I didn't.
That was nice.
Yeah. It's a shame the sound cut out at the end of the video, though.
It is. It is.
Because, he was saying something because you could see because he was moving his hands and everything. He was trying. It's like, and then he put up about the markings and stuff. So it's been interesting to see what he was trying to say. Hopefully he'll go back and fix it.
All right, guys. Well, we started a little later. We are going to run this one a little short because that's what we basically talked about. All I wanted to talk about tonight. It was a little special edition thing, but I wasn't able to go to Tulsa, and I'm glad that they were able to. That Obnoxious One and Gary were able to go and take some video, what they could. And I'm glad they were able to give me their perspective. And
we do have a gun-related question out there. South of the Border Panda wants to know what paint would be best to refinish USGI mags.
Well, USGI mags are by standard are aluminum. So any paint that preserves aluminum, I guess.
Yeah. And if they're aluminum, you could look into getting them re-anodized. Stainless steel, you can paint them with, and you can just rattle can them and be fine. So,
you can anodize them if they're aluminum. If they're their standard aluminum mags, you can paint them You know,
Get them powder coated,
you can get them
Cerakoted.
powder coated. I mean, you could if it's aluminum, you might want to see about maybe acrylic latex paint might be best for that.
Yeah, if it's aluminum, I would just look in your area, see if there's anybody that does anodizing, and see how much they would charge.
Or
That'll give you a better finish.
Or hell, you could just go with glossy engine block paint. It doesn't really matter as long as it protects the metal.
Yeah, if you want to keep the original look, though, you'd want to get them anodized.
Right. And if you don't want to anodize them, you just want to paint them, then I would recommend something probably like a glossy black. If you need help with color, or if you're going to do it in FDE, then glossy FDE. I mean, hell, you can Cerakote anything. You could Cerakote it even.
Yeah. I mean, you got options. There's depending on whether you got steel or aluminum. There's going to be options for either.
Right. So. Tolerances with paint on the mags. You shouldn't have that. If they're USGI mags, they're going to be loose. They're going to fit loosely. They'll fit in and lock in, but you might have a little rattle. Not much, but a little bit. Because they're made to fit literally any M16 or M4.
Yeah, you're generally not going to get the magazine tightened up until you close the bolt on the magazine.
Yeah. So you're not going to have problems with tolerance if you paint the mags. It's just, But remember, with these magazines, you only need 1 or 2 coats. You don't need to put like 10 of them on. Okay. This is my recommendation. If you're going to paint the mag, 1 or 2 coats should be good. You can do more, but you don't need to, because you're at that point you're just wasting too much time on something so, it's not irrelevant, but it's something so minuscule. Now, if just paint it until it looks nice is what I'm saying, and then move on to the next magazine, because if you're doing multiple magazines, well, you don't want to spend doing like 10 coats on one magazine is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you don't want to make the paint too thick.
And this is just my recommendation. So, someone else's opinion is going to be different. Your opinions may vary. Your mileage may vary. So, just 1 or 2 coats until the magazine looks nice. Move on to the next magazine if you're doing multiple. You're not going to have that much problem with tolerance, especially with paint. I mean, you're just not.
Yeah, and if you do, you can always just sand down the paint at the top of the magazine anyway to where it'll fit anymore. So it's not.
Yeah.
You can always take paint off, so that's not an issue.
So don't worry too much about that. Well, with that, we're gonna call it quits. I want to thank Gizzard Gary. Thank you for jumping in and giving us your perspective on Wanamaker and J.M. Davis.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And Rich, thank you for jumping in and asking a couple questions from someone who hasn't gone to J.M. Davis or Wanamaker yet.
Yeah, no problem.
Because you asked questions I might not have thought of.
Well, yeah, you never know. I mean, sometimes I come up with something.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. All right. So with that, guys, we're going to end this one. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for participating in the chat. And we'll see you next week.
Give him the bird.
Bye-bye.
Shall not be infringed. Kind of lackluster, but,
It's all right.
2A every day.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Are you turning into Tardot now?